Welcome to the Just Do It podcast, hosted by Anne Duffy. Dental Entrepreneur Women is here to dive deep and share stories with the mission to inspire, highlight, empower, and connect all women in dentistry.
Hello, everyone. It's Anne Duffy, and here we are at the Just Do It podcast. Thanks for joining us today. I'm just so excited because we've been trying to get this podcast recorded for some time, but we're both busy dudes, and it's hard to find time when you can just relax and squeeze in a great conversation. This beautiful guest that I have today is so dear to me. I feel like I'm her second mom. Met her years ago, and we connected like right off the bat on the dance floor at Chicago Midwinter. And we've been dear friends, and she's supported us totally because at the core of who she is a supporter of women, of light, and of love. She is passionate about empowering women, and expanding ideas to develop equitable opportunities in business, dentistry, and beyond. Being both a creative and a strategic thinker, she is the director of PR and international business at Pulpdent, making her familiar face around the world. She serves on multiple boards, including the Do Board. Thank you very much. And in life, Christie enjoys design, photography, and traveling off the beaten path. Please help me welcome my dear friend, the amazing Christie Bailey. Hi, Christie.
Oh, hi, Anne. Thank you so much. It's just an absolute honor to be here with you, or really just any conversation we have anytime. I feel that I leave just like wrapped in love and support, and I feel like I'm ready to go conquer the world. So it's an honor to be here today. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. I'm so glad because, I could use a little bit of that too. And I feel the same way about you. I think when I get off of this podcast today, as you know, we're like looking forward to our Do retreat. I'm going to be armed, ready, and confident that it's going to be a smash hit and that we're going to be able to pour into those women like we've always wanted to. And you've been there from the beginning, Christie. I mean, you have supported me since day one, supported all of us, lifting women up and empowering women. I think in our industry, but I see you in other facets, in other parts, in other sectors of the world. And I love to watch and see how great things are going to really happen because of you and because of the verve and the talent that you possess. And, there's so many things that you've done, so many very bright things about the future of women in dentistry in general. And through the participation in RDH Evolution this year, you were just talking about this before we started. And so tell us about that, because I love Jackie Sanders and I knew they wanted to do this to lift women up. And as you know, I'm a retired 45 years dental hygienist. So I love the RDHs in our community and beyond. Tell me about that. How was Evolution?
Oh my gosh, Anne. Evolution was a dream. I didn't know what to expect. This was the first event that RDH Magazine really hosted. And it was so special. Jackie Sanders, Amber Auger, Jocelyn, and the RDH team just did such a beautiful job creating an event where they were fostering inspiration and support, but also providing really tactical tools for every woman and man. There was one man in the room to take home and bring to life. And it was just such an invigorating week to spend time with so many incredible women. And again, the one male hygienist who was there, which I'd love to see more of that at the future events, by the way. But just looking to expand their career in a way where they're thriving in the operatory or maybe at their dental hygiene school that they work at, but also launching their own business or their career as a speaker or a KOL. And it was just so exciting to be in a room full of people that are doing new things. And I think we're at a really pivotal time in dentistry where we've had the old way of doing things, and the pandemic almost forced us to step into the present with digital technology and social media, and to see these just movers and shakers, which sounds kind of like a funny phrase, but really seeing these incredible people step up and say, I have a new way of doing this that's reaching a new generation, was really exciting, not just to be in the room, but to start to see the outcomes that I'm already seeing on their social media channels and on their Instagrams and the connections they've made. It built just a beautiful community that is still living on. And there aren't many events that do that. The Do Retreat does that in a beautiful way. And this did that as well. And it was just such a joy to be a part of that and see a space where I felt there was vulnerability and joy and passion and excitement. And it was positive. And it's very rare you can be at an event with so many people where I believe everyone left just feeling supported and empowered, and they're already putting action into what they wanted to do when they showed up. So it was amazing.
Well, it's community, right? I mean, I love the RDH community, and I think that the dental hygienists, of course, I have a heart for them. They really are smart and independent. I mean, they do run their own business within a practice, and it enriches everyone's career if you have a side gig of some sort, whether it's working, with your church or with a ministry or with art or, you name it, gardening. I mean, there's so many different things that we can do that give you a little bit of a side gig. And I think that expands your career, your life. And this, again, we're always looking for possibilities. How can we use our strengths and our gifts? And it opens it up to, they're not alone. You have to make the decision, I will, and I can. And then, really lock arms with the people that you're with. And I love that there was a guy there because he's a dude.
Yes.
It's probably Raphael or Andrew. I mean, those guys are just amazing. In fact, Raphael and I are doing a webinar tonight. I'm very excited to share the stage with him. But we need all of us to come together. And I think it's been really fun for me to just be able to the guys are always saying, I want to be in your community. I'm like, well, you can be, you're a dude. And that we keep collecting these guys because we all work together, and we can't, we say locking arms as women, but we want to do it with men locking arms alongside of us. Right.
Equality, what we need. It's what we need. And with the event, what was so special in addition to this was, I don't even know how to exactly say this, but there was a sense of hygienists being given the opportunities that were formerly reserved more for dentists. And that was also really beautiful to see. And I just, as you were talking about bringing in dudes and other things, that's something that came to mind. There for so long, the opportunities were for dentists. And now I think, especially with digital media and just stronger community, we're seeing that opportunity for dental hygienists to do that. And of course, dental hygienists or dentists now are over 50% identifying as female, which is fabulous. And so it's really good, though, to see that in dental hygiene as well, they're being given the same platform as was maybe formerly reserved for dentists only.
I think so, too. And I think COVID was our friend. I think that the dental community has appreciated our skills and what we bring to the party. And also, I think we're just tired of sitting in the frickin' back seat and not getting the respect that we deserve. I think that is really clear. And because for so long, we really weren't getting the pay. And it's just not because we're women, but it's a woman-centric profession, right? So that lends itself to lower pay. And it's just insane when I think about everything that we all did. And I can look back on my career and what I brought to the practice, that I really do feel, unfortunately, I do feel like I was undervalued and underappreciated and had to fight for everything that I got. And I mean, that's not really a great way to work. And I worked for some great people. It wasn't like I didn't like them. They just didn't know or realize that it was that important. And now we see they're, hygienists are leaving in droves. And gosh, my last day was December 2020. And I think the increase in salary for them is like finally getting to a spot where it makes sense. And, I had to fight for every penny I got, but I did. I marched in every time and said, hey, you need to give us a little bit. And this is what we're presenting you. But, you've got to make sure that you're all working together, right? Because they can't, a dentist can't give you a raise if you can't provide a reason for it, right? And like you said, a takeaway or something actionable. It's not just because I'm a nice person and I do a good job, right? So there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things to that. We have to appreciate. That's one of the things I like about Christie, is that we bring all the different career paths together in another place to actually appreciate each other. Because we can get on our high horse, as you just noticed. I was kind of on a high horse there. I think, oh my gosh, if you're listening, but
a beautiful, gleaming, shiny horse, unicorn, maybe though.
There you go, with the crown on my head, of course. But
Yeah.
but I have really learned to appreciate all the different career paths from top to bottom, and each side, east to west, right? But one of the things I know about you is that you are like leading this with Pulpdent. You're a woman and you're an influential woman with one of the biggest, most profound. I love Pulpdent, the culture, the people that are there, and you represent the company internationally, and with many experts, clinicians, researchers, external relationships globally. I mean, golly, with the pandemic lifting, you're like starting to travel around the world again. And I remember when I first met you, you were going all over the place. And I was like, wow, she is a jet setter and taking and representing, again, a big company at the table, sitting at the seat. So where are you traveling now? And what are you talking about? Or what are you observing as far as women sitting in seats, globally?
Mm-hmm. Great question, Anne. First, that's exceptionally kind. So thank you. I have a really incredible career, and I'm so blessed that I do get to travel around the world. Although I have been getting much more exhausted since the pandemic, and it's more exhausting traveling after the pandemic. It's like getting back in the swing of everything.
Yeah.
So that's been a lot. But I'm really blessed that I get to travel around the world, and that is certainly not lost on me. And starting to travel again has been such a relief. So this year I've been in a few countries, and it's very interesting how I'm seeing more and more women in positions of power, and who are leading some of the most profound research in the world. And I see this a lot in Europe, which is really exciting. I was in Turkey and the Netherlands and France this year. I was supposed to be in Greece, but I unfortunately got COVID, so I had to cancel, which was devastating. But at these meetings, I was attending research meetings and clinical research meetings where much of the profound research that's coming out that is just innovative and it's groundbreaking was coming from women in different parts of the world. And it was so exciting to see that. And these are not new researchers. Many of them have been doing this for 10, 20 years. But it was the first time I really noticed in an overwhelming amount that women were really present, and they were presenting, and they were educating. And I felt that they were creating not even a seat at the table, but almost a new table that was leading the way to the future. And there were incredible men doing that as well, of course, but it was so exciting to really be sitting at a table and recognizing I'm no longer the only woman at this table full of brilliant researchers or brilliant clinicians. And I'm so happy to see that. We're really putting a push, of course, as I mentioned earlier, more than 50% of dental school graduates in the US now identify as female, which is amazing. And I think that we're, as always, kind of following your trends on that, which is really good to see. But traveling around, it's been exciting this year because it is our 75th anniversary at Pulpdent. And as you mentioned, we are an amazing company with innovative products. And you've had the privilege of coming to visit us, which we had the privilege of you coming to visit us with some great news.
A great moment in time.
Yeah, it was beautiful. And we're celebrating our 75th anniversary this year. So it's been really fun for us to say, how do we need to almost reintroduce the company? And how do we need to go forward? And what are our goals and our visions for the future? So I was able to meet with a lot of the researchers and clinicians all over the world and in North America to talk about Christie MCP, which is our latest technology, which is really going to power the way for our future bioactive advancements in dentistry. It's already placed in a few of our different products. So I've been sharing a lot about that and working with different researchers, of course, because sometimes your products are only as good as the research and the clinical efficacy that back it up, of course. And Pulpdent's really passionate about making sure that we have both, because what we create is innovative and we want to make a really positive difference. Our core philosophy is to save teeth. And it's really fun to be coming out with products that are able to start really contributing to that in a little bit different way as dentistry in the world progresses. So it's been really fun to start to get really loud about Pulpdent. We've been a little quiet, and actually our marketing director put on a document earlier this year a message that said, coming from a company that's been relatively quiet and is about to get really, really loud. So I've basically just been going around the world being really loud about Pulpdent and technology, and of course, always making sure that women are well represented and that Pulpdent is as well.
I love that. It's like a sleeping giant. When I was up there visiting, and I could see honestly, just the culture, the love that everybody put into the company. And then with these new products that really are life-changing, they are the future of dentistry. They are so exciting, really. And it's so funny, Christie, because I was at this meeting recently, and there were, it was all women and one guy. And we were talking about how women are very quiet about what they say, what they brag about, right? And men are like, brag on, girl, brag on. And it is, we have to find our roar, and you found it. And again, if you don't tell the world about this and Pulpdent doesn't get out there, then we aren't going to be able to save the teeth. We aren't going to be able to that Krista, tell us a little bit about that, because I'm just amazed at that new product. I think it's so awesome.
I am so happy you're asking that. So Krista is, disclaimer, not named after me. There were a couple people that were making jokes about this.
I don't know, maybe, secretly, but go on.
So Krista is actually a technology, which has been, I think, a little bit confusing for some, because historically we've only really launched products. So Krista is the trade name for a newly patented biointeractive molecule from Pulpdent. And it is not a product, but a proprietary technology that can be employed in different dental materials. And what Krista actually stands for is a methacrylate functionalized calcium phosphate, which for short we call MCP, because that's a mouthful. And that's also why we gave it a fun name, Krista, because who will remember methacrylate functionalized calcium phosphate?
Yes.
But it's a stabilized calcium phosphate that is arrested in a transitional state. So it is able to provide needed calcium phosphate and fluoride to damaged teeth and through a restoration. And with this, we've actually established a whole new line of aesthetic bioactive composite materials with this product. And so it really widens the possibilities for smart dental materials. And a core focus of what we do, and Anne, I know you heard a lot about this when you were here, is it really accelerates dentistry's movement, and what's so at the core of who Pulpdent is, to move away from passive materials that do no harm, which for a long time, that's what we've been using, to active materials that are universally recognized as a standard of more advanced care. And so it is a really amazing, again, molecule that is patented that can be in multiple products. So right now we have Krista in 3 different products that are available on the market, 2 which are available in North America. Activa Presto, which is a light cure only composite. It comes in many aesthetic shades. It's stackable, and it really adds to our Activa bioactive line that we've had for over 10 years. And it provides the ability to have a light cure composite material, but with bioactive properties. And then Limelight Enhanced, which is one of our most popular products, which is a cavity liner. It's now also Limelight Enhanced. And then Activa Pronto, which is available in flex markets outside of the US. But it's just really exciting to see not only the advancements we're making with Krista, but also the excitement that clinicians and researchers around the world have about this new technology as well. So we're really excited to be facilitating and receiving a lot of additional third-party research supporting its ability to support remineralization. And it's very exciting. It's just the beginning of Krista.
Oh my God, you're just lighting up like a Christmas tree. And that is so cool, because I love how you explain the difference between passive and active. I mean, you're actually not just filling a tooth, and this is just layman's terms, but you're actually doing good. You're not stopping it. You're just building upon what your restoration has provided, and just the advancement of that alone to me is groundbreaking, life-changing. And if you're not using it, why would you not? There's no reason why you would not use that. When you're, think of the kids. I mean, oh my gosh, it's just, I had something kind of heartbreaking yesterday I met somebody and she smiled really big, and she had decay in between all of her front teeth. And she was at a front office at a hotel. And it actually just like broke my heart that she did not have the ability for this. I mean, obviously she had, and some of her restorations were there. It was just really sad. And she was a darling young lady. And that just shouldn't be. That just shouldn't be. And dentistry we need to continue to support that kind of advancement and support your company, because you are at the forefront. You're doing it. And I know your heart is in it. And especially even knowing that the brothers and all that, they're kind of quiet. They're not big out. They don't have the big foghorn, out bragging about things. They're quiet giants as men, and they're gentlemen. But I like what you're saying. This is your time, Christie. This is Pulpdent's time. 75 years. What are we going to do differently now that everybody knows across the country, across the world, what you're doing, and then also you're collaborating, and it's never good enough, is it, for you guys? You just got to get more research and get more people, to help you build something that is so phenomenal that you're actually really wanting to present. It's a great place to be in marketing, isn't it? It's so much more fun to market something. Well, it's the only way I know that you could market something. And most women, you have to totally believe in it, and it really comes through.
Yeah, you do.
Comes through.
You do. And it's
so well.
And to your point about the brothers that own the company, the Burke family owns Pulpdent. And what's really cool is that we're still a family owned and operated company, which is becoming less common around the world, but even in dentistry. And so it's really amazing to work for a family-owned company. And we're now starting to go into the third generation, which is a fun, pivotal time for us to shake things up as well. But they have been quiet. They've been very humble about these groundbreaking technologies that have been created, that have changed the ability to care for their patients. And it's fun now. I work very closely with our director of marketing and our marketing team, and just the things that we're starting again to just be loud about. It's really fun to find that voice and create the Pulpdent voice to share the innovation and the advancements we have. And it's also equally as fun seeing the world find out about it. And I was at the AFBA conference and aesthetic meeting last week in Palm Springs, and a couple people hadn't used the material yet, and they said it just sounds too good to be true. And I said, I understand. And that's why we have, hundreds of different research articles that are done, some in support by Pulpdent, but largely external third parties who also think, wow, this is too good to be true. And so they do the research and they find out it's not, which is exciting to not only believe in it and talk about it, but see it be backed up.
Oh, I love that. That just is like icing on the beautiful cupcake that you've got in front of you. I love that. And, and Zach has been such a great support of us and, again, the people that you hire. And I know that you're all over the place, right? But are you seeing, dentistry has changed. Dentistry is changing again with the output of female dentists graduating, and their teams are still, mostly women. I made this up for another podcast. It was 98% women, and I don't know, it's anecdotal, but it's pretty close. How do you see, or do you see the industry making progress to better support women in dentistry? And how do you see that?
Good question. Yeah. So I've been in the industry for about a decade, but I will say that before that, it is important to note my father was a dentist. My uncle's an endodontist. So I've been around dentistry my entire life without choice. And I have seen a lot shift over the course of the last couple decades. I would say in the last decade, there's really been a much bigger push and a bigger shift to make sure that women are in roles of leadership and that they have the ability to share their voice. And while that's wonderful, and I love seeing the progression, and I love seeing that over 50% of graduates are women, I love that. But I still think there's so much work we have to do. And there's so much, not only that we as women need to do, lifting each other up and leaning on each other. I know that's something that I think women have a hard time asking for help. And I've noticed this throughout my career. I'll do 4 things on my own that my male counterpart may ask someone to support him administratively for. And it's different. And even last week, it's funny, at the ASDA meeting, when you're a woman traveling, you're ironing your own clothes and you're doing all these things. And a lot of the attendees there were men, fabulous men, brilliant aesthetic dentists. Their wives were there. And a couple of them said, yeah, this morning, so-and-so was ironing my pants. And I'm thinking, wow, I need a wife and I need that support on my own. That would be great. And so I think what's really important to note is that as we are advancing in the industry in leadership roles and having a louder voice that we are curating and using a megaphone to really get excited about, we're also doing a little bit more of the emotional work that men maybe don't always do. And I do recognize there is equality that is happening on that with men staying home. And it was great. There were a few women there whose husbands were their office managers. And it was good to really see that shift start to happen. And I love that. But there's a lot of emotional work that we do as women on top of all the professional work. And so what I'm really hoping to see and working towards in the areas that I can is that we are not afraid to ask for help as women. We're not afraid to lean on each other, because if we don't do that, we will burn out as we start to expand our opportunities and as we start to take advantage of those opportunities that we have now that we didn't have 20, 30, 40 years ago. I mean, I can't even imagine what it was like being a woman in dentistry 40 years ago. And I know you've shared some of your stories with me, and I've heard other stories from Lorraine Kent and other women who were in dentistry, and the things you went through were horrible. So I'm grateful that we get to stand on your shoulders and we get to lift each other up, but there's still a lot of work to do. And it also comes from relying on the men in our lives in a way, especially at our companies, to not be afraid to say, this is what I need, this is what I want, this is what I deserve. And one of the best little tidbits of advice I received at some point was, your boss never goes to sleep thinking if you get paid enough. And so I always think about that in terms of not just, of course, compensation, but with needs at work, because it's just as much if you have too much on your plate. And I think women are more likely to take too much on to prove that they deserve to be there. And I would love to see women start to say no and say, I deserve to be here without taking all these things on that my male counterpart may not be.
Oh my gosh, that is great advice. Ask for what you need. Don't be afraid to ask, because it is interesting. It's emotional intelligence. And I think about this, even my husband will say, I don't know what's in your mind. We assume that they know exactly what we're thinking. And so we do have to stand up and ask for what we want. That is really great advice. If you're listening out here, do you have any other advice, parting advice for the women that are listening to this podcast? And some of the guys are listening to this as well. So any parting advice? You're so wise, Christie. And again, I can't wait to just follow your career and see how you're taking this company to the next level.
You're so sweet to me. Thank you. It's hard to pick just one thing, because I will say that a lot of what I've learned has been learned the hardest way possible. And also through incredible mentors like you and Jackie Sanders and other just incredible women and men. Fred Burke, who's the president of Pulpdent, is one of my greatest mentors. And Dave Pearson, I mean, just incredible people. But the first I would say is to really show up as the authentic version of you and realize that not every person, not every environment, and not every job is for you. And that's okay. It does not mean you're doing a bad job, but not everything is for you. And with that, I would say to really learn how to ask the right questions and also learn to say no, and kindly, unapologetically say no to things that really don't serve the life you're actively trying to create. I see this with so many women, especially as they're starting their career, saying yes to everything because they think it will really help them advance quicker. And while it may help you advance quicker, it may not advance you in the direction you want to go or that's true to you. And it may also burn you out very quickly. So I really think it's important to set goals and boundaries before you're in a situation that may ask you to sacrifice something that's a non-negotiable for you. And I believe that will help make every decision easier, but it'll also do something really powerful, which is it will keep the wrong doors closed so the right doors can open. And if you're able to do that, I think you'll really set yourself up for success and not be as exhausted.
Oh my gosh, I'm so inspired right now. That is so beautiful because it leans into the strengths that we love. Say no to things that just don't give you joy or happiness. I mean, some things you have to do, but you can't do things well if it's not part of your DNA or part of the gifts that you have.
Yes.
And so when you
Yes.
really lean into who you are, what you do good, what you like, you really can. You give hope to everyone. You really can have a great career, but it is a lot about the boundaries that you set early on. So, Christie,
Yes.
just,
Yes. And I do want to say,
go on.
oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I just want to say, still do your laundry. Don't let that pile up. Things like that you still need to do. There are things you need to do that you don't want to do. But having a vision and a goal for your life and dreaming how you want to see it, I just think enables you to make decisions that get you there. And you need to know that before you're in the situation that may require you to sacrifice that.
Yes, that puts it in perfect perspective, because we're always going to be a little bit different. We're always going to possibly be ironing or doing something that is for someone else. And that's okay. But it's the big things in life and the big things that really, take on your career and your life and your loved ones and all of those things. Those are the really important things that you need to really be authentically in love with and go towards. So I think that is really, really what we're going to do. And just, Christie, how do we find you? How do we find Pulpdent? Tell us a little bit about where we find you guys.
Yes. So first thing is, if you're interested in learning more about Krista, which is what I was talking about, is go to pulpdent.com/Krista, CRYSTA. And then we would, of course, love for you to connect with Pulpdent and follow us online at Pulpdent Corporation. And then I would also love to connect with you and hear your stories and just learn how I can support you or empower you. I unfortunately will miss the Do Retreat this year, which I'm devastated about, but I have a social media handle for Pulpdent, which is at the Christie Report, which is spelled CHRISTIE. And I would love to hear from you and connect with you and follow along with your life, your journey, and get advice from you as well.
Oh my gosh, that sounds fantastic. And I can't wait to get on there. And you've got some other things up your sleeve, I know, as just far as the love that you have with travel and lifestyle and just, decorating and all of those good things. Your Instagram is just pretty amazing how it's so beautiful.
Thank
just
you.
like you. So everybody, Christie, thank you for joining me today. And we did it. We doed it. And everyone that's listening, most importantly, as you can tell from our relationship and from what we talked about today, keep doing you. Thanks, everybody. Love you. Have a great day. I'll see you next time. Bye now.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Just Do It podcast, hosted by Anne Duffy. To learn more about dental entrepreneur women, to share your story, or to join the movement, please visit our website, do.life. That is DEW.life. Subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcasting app to make sure you don't miss an episode. And in the meantime, keep doing you.